Hi, welcome back to my channel. I haven't done a book unhaul in a pretty long time, so I have a good amount of books on my shelves right now that I just don't care for, or for one reason or another I don't want anymore. So I felt like it was a good time to do that, especially with my long hiatus that I've taken from BookTube. I've definitely gotten to a habit of whenever I get a new book, I just throw it on my shelf, like just stacked on the other books, and it just looks like a mess. And I'm tired of it, honestly. So after I do my book unhaul, eventually I will be reorganizing my bookshelves and doing a whole thing with that. So the first two books are books that I needed to read for school. The first one is Playing in the Dark by Toni Morrison. I don't have any qualms with this. I just personally don't really want it in my collection anymore. This is like a piece of literary criticism that Toni Morrison wrote. It's great. I had to read it for class, but beyond that, I don't feel like I need it in my collection, so I will be unhauling it. The second book that I'm unhauling that I had to read for class is Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. I don't like this book. I don't even remember what I gave it on Goodreads. I think I gave it like 2 stars. I did not enjoy reading this. Yeah, I had some issues with it. I wasn't a big fan of Mr. Swift here, or Mr. Gulliver for that, for as much as that's worth. I don't really have anything beyond that to say about it. I didn't like it. I had to read this for a class like over a year ago, and I'm just now getting around to getting rid of it, so that shows how long overdue this book unhaul is. The next book that I'm unhauling is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I don't like this book enough, I feel, to have it in my collection, personally. The book is fine. I like it fine, but when I see The Great Gatsby, I'm not like, yes, love that one. Want it on my shelves for sure. Like, I don't feel like that. I don't hate it. I don't even dislike it. I feel like it takes up some space that could be used for something else. It barely takes up any space. As you can see, it's quite thin, but I don't feel like I need it anymore for myself. So that's that. Okay, so this next book that I'm unhauling is absolutely terrible. Was not difficult to part with at all. Go Ask Alice by Anonymous, which is not anonymous. We actually know who wrote this. If you just do a quick Google search, you can find out who wrote it. I don't remember the lady's name and I don't care enough. This book is about a girl and it's like her diary entries or whatever, and she gets like mixed up in drugs and all this business. I honestly don't even remember the plot. I'm pretty sure that's like the plot, but like beyond that I don't really remember anything else because I think I've mentally blocked my reading experience of this book out of my brain because of how bad it was. I don't want it anymore. If you don't want to read something good, read this one, I had a lot of thoughts about this book when I finished it, and I was even thinking of like, what would I say if I was like reviewing it, like for a video or like whatever, and I thought of a lot of things to say. The biggest thing that I had particular criticism about was the way that drugs and addiction is represented in this book, and if you have any like actual knowledge on how any of that works, you would know that this book is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah. It's not good. It's leaving my home. The next book to leave my collection is The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. This is where a sticker was that I took off, and it's so rudely left behind this mark, so we're gonna boop. I'm gonna be honest, I barely remember what it's about. I read it like a pretty long time ago. It wasn't really that memorable. All I remember is I think it takes place in New Orleans. New Orleans! That's basically it. But I do remember finishing it and not really caring. So, there is a second book. Didn't read that one. Maybe it gets better in that one. I don't know. I have too many books on my TBR already to add that one to it. So, I'm okay with parting with this one. So the next one might offend some people. Maybe it won't. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I even have tabs. Like, I have quite a bit of tabs in it. They will all come out because I will be unhauling it. I remember having really, really high expectations for this book, and it just not delivering. I remember being, like, decently disappointed. I don't want to say very disappointed because I wasn't, like, I didn't dislike the book, but I was decently disappointed. I didn't feel like it was as crazy of a ride as I was expecting. It didn't feel as, like, suspenseful as I thought it was gonna be. Like, it felt very meh, for lack of a better word to describe it. I don't know. I didn't really care for it. Who knows if the second book will ever come out. Who knows? The next book I'm unhauling is How It Feels to Float by Helena Fox. I got this book because of the cover. I didn't even read the synopsis, and I saw the cover at Barnes & Noble, and I was like, that's a really pretty cover. And I want it. The only thing that I really remember is it's about like a teenage girl and like mental illness. And I remember liking it, and I have some tabs in here as well. I remember enjoying it, and I thought it was, you know, like good for what it was, but it just wasn't as impactful as I was hoping it was gonna be. I mean, I did just buy it based off of the cover alone, but regardless of that, I was still hoping, I mean, you hope every book you read is going to be impactful, right? Like I said, I liked it enough. I think I gave it like 3 stars or something. It just wasn't as impactful as I think it could have been, but it definitely isn't like a bad book or anything. Like Go Ask Alice. It just doesn't like spark joy for me, even the cover alone. I even thought about it. I was like, maybe I won't get rid of it because the cover is so pretty. You know, that's not a reason to keep a book, guys. That's not a reason to keep a book. The next book I'm unhauling is Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour. So this book, just like How It Feels to Float, was it like a pretty decent book? I have no qualms with it, and the cover is beautiful. However, the same thing with this book, like the other, it wasn't as impactful as I thought it could have been. It's about this girl, and she's aged out of a foster care system, and she goes to work on a farm. And on the farm, you know, a bunch of shit happens, and she learns a bunch of stuff about herself, and it's a really, like, beautiful story. I just thought that it wasn't as impactful as it could have been. I think I gave this one 3 stars as well. That being said, it's a good book. Like, it's not bad by any means. It just doesn't, like, spark joy for me. It doesn't hold any like meaning with me. So just like Ninth House, this next book might hurt some people as well. The next book I'm unhauling is Sadie by Courtney Summers. For all the hype that surrounds this book, I expected something way different. I expected this book to like rock my socks off, and my socks like stayed on. So again, not a bad book, just not for me. This was a thriller, like a suspense thriller about a girl who goes missing. It's been a long time since I've read it, but I'm pretty sure there's like radio. Yeah, it goes on like to like radio segments where they're like talking about the case and stuff. And then I think it goes into her point of view. Was it bad? No, absolutely not. It was actually pretty good. I just expected way more. It didn't like hit me as much as I was expecting it to. Like I said, for all the hype that was surrounding this book, I expected like way more. I think that was a big part of the problem. I think that because of all the hype surrounding it, I went into this book with like expectations through the roof. Like I expected this book to just, again, rock my fucking socks off. And I think that was part of the problem. I think if I went into this book without all the hype surrounding it and I didn't know any of that, I probably would have liked it a little bit more. But again, I didn't dislike it. It doesn't have enough meaning to me, and it doesn't spark enough joy within me, and I don't see this book and like want to talk about it. You know what I mean? I feel like the books on your bookshelf, like the books in your collection, or at least with me, for the books that are like in my collection and that I make a point to keep, for each book that's on my shelf, if I've read it, because you know there's a lot on my shelf that I haven't read, it's got to be something that I point at it and I'm like, yeah, I know what this book is about. I remember reading it, or at least I remember how it made me feel, you know? Because you have those books that you read and like, even if you loved them, you might forget how to explain the plot completely, but you still remember how that book made you feel. I don't remember what this book made me feel. I think I felt like neutral. Finally, the last book that I am unhauling is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin? Don't know, so sorry. I didn't finish this book. I DNF'd this book, I don't even know where, because I had like taken my bookmark out and then I lost my place and I never tried to find it. That to me was a sign from the universe to stop reading it. I think I was like 40-something% in though. Like I think I was like almost halfway. This book is supposed to be like an enemies to lovers, like fake marriage thing. between like, I think a witch and like a witch hunter or something. Yeah, literally on the back it says a witch and a witch hunter thrust into holy matrimony. Great. I started reading this book because my friend was obsessed with this and she wanted me to read it so bad. I convinced her to read A Court of Thorns and Roses, which she liked, by the way, and continued the series. The trade was that I would read Serpent and Dove. Unfortunately, I could not bring myself to complete the first book, which she continues to hold over my head to this day. So, could not get into this at all. I hated the main character so much. And the fact that her name was Lou irritated me even more because it's kind of like my name and I don't want to be associated with her. I wasn't able to like buy into the enemies to lovers shit. Like it just wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. It's just taking up space. And, you know, for what? For what? Somebody else could read it and enjoy it more than me. So, it's gonna go. That concludes my book unhaul. I will be doing a bookshelf organization sometime in the near future. I kind of want to do like a live bookshelf organization thing rather than just a video. That might be something that I do. But yeah, that concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Bye!